You know, having larger pupils may actually be a sign of intelligence, like that 6-foot-tall second grader in the back of the classroom who earns all A's. No, wait, not that kind of pupil. The pupils I should be talking about are the little black dots inside your eyes. They're generally between 1/10 to 3/10 inches across. They work with your irises to regulate the amount of light entering your eyes. That's why they're black. This way, the light that passes through the pupil is absorbed and not reflected back. In other body news, our brain shrinks when we're sleeping. The brain is shedding weak information and wants to make room for new things you're about to learn. The connections between brain cells shrink when we sleep, but grow during the day. Body position makes an impact on your memory. It reflects emotional states. Researchers found out that when you're sitting in a slouched position, you're more likely to recall some negative memories. People with blue eyes have completely colorless eye tissue. They get their color the same way water and the sky get their shades of blue. Your heart is a fist-sized muscle, but it does lots of work. In under a minute, it pumps blood to every cell in your body. 100,000 beats a day to shuttle 2,000 gallons of blood rich in oxygen through 60,000 miles of blood vessels. Ooh, that's an icebreaker. Mammals have fur to keep them warm during the colder periods, including nights. It also protects them from the sun. Humans learned to keep themselves warm with clothing, shelter, and fire, so they lost a majority of their body hair. We're also good without it, as it prevents us from overheating on warm days. One of the first things that come to mind while thinking of a shark is its terrifying teeth. But human teeth are just as strong as the scary sea creatures. In fact, the enamel of your teeth, which is their outer layer, is the hardest substance in your entire body. The average grown-up person has 206 bones. These include the bones in your skull, spine, ribs, arm, and legs. But more than half of your bones are in your hands, wrists, feet, and ankles. Each of your feet is made up of 26 bones. Speaking of bones, as I was, the weakest one in your body is your collarbone. Its proper name is the clavicle. It's the softest bone in the body that can easily be broken, so make sure to take extra care. Your middle ear picks up sound waves. They get translated into electrical impulses in the inner ear. Then sensory nerves carry these impulses to your brain. If your inner ear works incorrectly, your brain can misinterpret the sounds. Some of the bacteria living in your gut can produce electricity. They give off electrons, and this creates tiny electrical currents. That's likely to be the bacteria's backup system, their way to generate energy. The average human can only survive 2 minutes without oxygen before passing out. After 10 minutes, it's usually time to, wave bye-bye. On the other hand, this does vary from person to person depending on their fitness levels. In 2009, one man managed to spend a whole 11 minutes and 35 seconds holding his breath. And he was completely fine after that. Kinda leaves you breathless, doesn't it? The atoms in your body are billions of years old. There's also a lot of empty space between these atoms. Without that space, you'd be compressed into a tiny dot. And that's all I have to say about that. When running, the pressure on your feet grows and can rise to more than 260% of your body weight. The vertical force produced when you're walking is up to 1.5 times your total body weight. When you increase the speed to, say, 9 miles an hour, that force goes up to almost 3 times your body weight. You can feel muscle soreness on muscles you didn't train at all. One of the theories why it spreads is that tough workout damages the sheath that surrounds muscle fibers. As your body tries to heal itself, it accumulates certain chemicals in this area, and they can trigger the pain receptors, so you feel soreness. There are 2 to 5 million sweat glands on your body. The sweat they produce is of 2 different kinds: stress sweat and regular sweat. The sweat caused by stress has fatty acids and proteins in it, and the regular sweat is mostly made up of water, salt, and a tiny bit of other substances. It's actually possible to brush your teeth too thoroughly and hard. This can wear down the enamel and make your teeth super sensitive to cold and hot foods. Your heartbeat often syncs with the music you're listening to. If a piece has a continuous increase in volume or tempo, like rock, it can make your heart rate faster. Some classical music lowers heart rate and blood pressure. This phenomenon affects everyone, from professional musicians to amateurs and music lovers. There are only a few cells in your body that will be with you for your entire life. These are the cells in the inner lens of your eye, the muscle cells of your heart, and, lastly, the neurons of the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex is a fancy word for the outer layers of your brain. Blinking keeps your eyes clean and moist, but that's not all. Every time you blink, you take a micro nap. Researchers from Washington University have found out that blinking makes your attention sharper and works as a teeny recharge. Ever seen tiny dots traveling in squiggly lines, especially when you're looking at a bright blue sky? These dots are only visible for a second or so and might look like itty-bitty worms. These are your white blood cells moving through the capillaries in front of the retina. That's the light-sensitive tissue at the back of your eyes. Curiously, most people don't even notice the dots unless asked to pay attention. The pineal gland in your brain handles the production of melatonin. That's the very hormone that regulates your sleep patterns. The gland looks like a pine nut, and that's how it got its name. I'm just glad it doesn't look like a booger. The membranes, blood vessels, and muscles surrounding your brain have pain receptors, but your brain doesn't. That's why you don't get brain aches. Now, teeth are considered part of your skeleton, but they don't count as bones. Humans get only 2 sets of teeth across their whole lifetime, but crocodiles replace their teeth more than 45 times. Well, hey, look at all the stuff they eat, like my Uncle Jimmy. Nah, not really. When you get embarrassed, like I just did, you blush and your cheeks turn rosy, but your stomach also becomes red. This is because you get a surge of adrenaline caused by anxiety or embarrassment. This makes tiny blood vessels widen all over your body, which increases blood flow and results in the red color. Fingernails grow faster on the dominant hand, so if you use your right hand more, you'll have to trim nails on it more often. Fingernails also grow more quickly in the summer and during the day. You might keep in memory up to 10,000 different faces. Sure, it varies from person to person, and the average number is 5,000. It doesn't mean you can put a name to each of these faces. It's only about recognizing the features. Less than 1% of the population is born with their hearts on the right side of the chest instead of the left. You blink 15 to 20 times per minute, and your eyes have the fastest muscle group in your entire body. That's a whopping 28,800 times each day. In fact, we spend around 10% of our total waking hours with our eyes closed. But when staring at a computer screen, your blink rate goes down to 5 times a minute.
Boy, there's a message there somewhere.
If your stomach acid made contact with your skin, it would most likely eat a hole in it. All because of hydrochloric acid. This type of acid is incredibly potent. It can easily dissolve some metals, for example magnesium or zinc. It protects your immune system and gets rid of viruses and bacteria in the food you eat. This acid also helps your body break down, digest, and absorb all kinds of nutrients, including proteins. Your lips look red because there is a great concentration of miniature blood capillaries right below the skin. Your brain sometimes generates more than 48 thoughts in just 1 minute. It's almost 3,000 thoughts per hour and 69,000 per day. The bumps on your tongue aren't taste buds. They're mushroom-shaped bulbs. Each of them has up to 5 taste buds with 100 taste receptor cells apiece. That's a tasty fact, if you ask me.